We've got Calvin from FluentPet and Irma from FluentPet here today as well, both wonderful members of the community. And Irma will be reaching out afterwards with a link to a recording as well as transcript from today. So if you miss anything, there is a follow-up and I can show you where to find a recording on the community as well. And so on the agenda today are our introductions, which we're doing now. Then we'll chat through the keys to button teaching, modeling first words, and target training. This is an interactive discussion, so feel free to ask questions throughout in the chat. In the chat's just a little bit easier for me to keep track of questions as they come through and then talk about them in the part that is most relevant to your journey and kind of connecting this and putting it all together. So then I'll share additional resources and we'll have more time for Q&A after as well. So let me introduce myself. My name is Morgan Krug. I'm a certified dog behavior consultant. I've been working professionally with animals for going on 18 years now. And while I'm best known for teaching my blind cat Jasper to use the buttons, who is pictured here, I've had success with multiple dog learners. I've got a senior mini American Shepherd napping behind me here, and then my Border Collie who is napping in her crate. And Adora's been at it for about 4.5 years now. Jasper, unfortunately, has since passed, but I have Katie and Bernie who are continuing her legacy and may give us some more live demos in the background, but may not. Katie may be satisfied by the wet food, water, freeze-dried, soaking food that she is currently eating. All right, and I see a few intros have come through. Welcome from Croatia. Dubravka, welcome to you, and apologies, of course, if I am butchering the accents or the right emphasis on everything here. Ringo, 2-year-old Australian cattle dog, excellent. Just received 12 buttons today. Excited to get started. Fantastic. Can't wait to dive in. Yeah, we'll make sure you feel confident going forward today. Madison, welcome to you and your 4-month-old Maltipoo. I'm using the buttons Potty, Piggy, her toy, and some love. Did target training and want to see if there's anything to help kick this off in the right direction. Great. She hasn't pushed any buttons yet herself, but seems to be getting it a little. Nice. And let me know how long you've been modeling those 3 for her when you get a chance, just out of curiosity. That's all fantastic information. Thank you. And if anybody hasn't had a chance to introduce themselves yet, feel free to do so. I will get it as we go through here. So here's my little one-eyed buddy, Bernie. And the cats both just turned about a year older, best guess, since they're both little street rescue kittens. But while Alexander Rossi and Christina Hunger were using buttons previously with their learners, FluentPet is the original button teaching system. And so our mission is to figure out how to teach dogs, cats, and the other animals we share this planet with how to talk. And we believe that pulling this off will take a village, a community that can develop and share button teaching tips and tricks and work together to discover the most successful button teaching approaches. So that is where you all come in. Our success in this mission entirely depends on your success with your learners. And the more of us who are able to progress, the faster we can figure out just how far all this can go. And in case any of you are wondering how far can this go, we think this video really helps paint a picture of what's possible, and you'll probably recognize Alexis and Bunny.
The foundation for getting started with buttons is just a desire to connect.
Can you do hands ahead?
I can't remember the exact order, but I think she pressed stranger mad. And I was like, what does that mean? And then ouch paw. And she came over to me and she put her left paw in my hand. And I was like, okay. And I looked between her toes and she had a foxtail stuck between her toes. This was the stranger in her paw. She's got a gnat between her toes.
And it's not just Bunny who can do these amazing things. I mentioned my blind cat, Jasper. She was able to request medication multiple times with eyes and help or some combination of that to indicate that she wanted medication after a procedure. And it's not all medical related. There's lots of fun examples too. One of my favorite early ones was with Scout, a Catahoula mix, who would repeatedly combine water and bone. Took us a little while to figure out what she wanted, but it was ice cubes. So she got an ice cube button and was able to advocate for herself in that way. So it really is amazing how creative they can be, even with a limited vocabulary. All right. And for those of you who are just beginning, how do we start? Our very first step is going to be modeling. And before you have your buttons, you can be practicing this verbally. So talk to them all the time, narrate what you're doing, try to be specific and consistent with your language. None of us are robots. Nobody's going to be perfect. So don't stress about, catching yourself saying something a little bit differently each time. Just recognize it. And if you find that there's a concept that is very easy for you to be consistent around, or that everybody in the household calls the same thing consistently, and if it excites your learner, they're motivated by it, and it's easy to say yes to, that might mean it can be a great potential starting button. So keep track of how you're talking to them, keep track of how other household members are talking to them as well. And for those of you who speak multiple languages, that's fantastic. You can avoid homonyms more easily that way. Just, keep track and see, do you use one word more frequently versus another language versus another? Mix it up. Use whatever is most consistent for you. It doesn't have to make sense to anybody outside of your household, right? And so, since modeling is how we teach our learners what these concepts mean, early on, we want to pick buttons for which it's easy for us to say yes to their presses. We want to capture their excitement, their enthusiasm around the board, and teach them that this is an amazing tool that they now have available to them. So, 3 simple steps once you have the buttons down on the board. First, press that button. Then, follow through. This is why it's important to have it be something that's easy to say yes to so that you're set up for success. To push that button, then step 2, follow through and show them the meaning of the word by making it happen. And then step 3 is repeat. Go back to step 1, repeat, repeat, repeat. It's a lot of repetition, especially early on, while we're helping them understand that the buttons have a consistent outcome each and every time. And Madison, great info. So they've been at it for about a week now with with Rue. So that makes sense. That sounds like you're on exactly the right track so far. So even though she hasn't pushed the buttons yet, she's starting to get it. You're modeling for her. It takes time for them to make these connections. And so the faster you're able to push and then follow through and say yes, the better they tend to get it, the faster they tend to make these connections. So you're absolutely on the right track. Thank you for all that info. So I have a video for you of what this actually looks like in practice. This is Kelly and her learner, Delmer. This is the first 24 hours that they had buttons down in their household. So I want you to see how much she's pressing. Kelly works from home, so you're seeing all throughout the day, but just whenever you're around, that's a great opportunity to be pressing, following through. So having the soundboard somewhere conveniently located that's easy for you to get to, that can help set you up for success as well as just hanging near the soundboard. Katie's napping on her board so that when she wakes up from her nap, she can request probably more food since that's her favorite. But because I am near the board, this is a fun place to be, a fun place to hang out. So she's wanting to be here too. So you can also be thinking about, where are you spending your time, and have the board set up near there, or just bring it around while your board is small and you're still maybe deciding between places. Take it with you. You can absolutely get creative with that. Yeah. Speaking of, well, Miss Katie, you can have more later. You can have later. More wet food later. All right. So this is Kelly and Delmer.
Puzzle.
outside, 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 puzzle, outside, pet, puzzle, outside, outside, pet, puzzle, puzzle.
Yes, puzzle.
Beautiful
More
accent
puzzle?
express there. Puzzle, puzzle, outside, 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 puzzle, outside, puzzle, outside, outside, outside. So again, lots of repetition, especially early on, while we're helping them understand that the buttons have a consistent outcome and meaning each time. So hopefully that's helpful to see. And again, if you're not home throughout the day, that's okay. That doesn't mean that your learner is less likely to be successful. Just practice whenever you can, pressing that button, following through. So another method, and I like to pair these together. So I'll be naturally modeling, whenever I'm home and around the board. But I also like to practice rapid modeling or some rapid pairing and associations of the button with the outcome that's associated with it. So in this case, it's a food modeling challenge. This was in February. And Kelly's working with Nushka, a different learner who doesn't know the buttons the way Delmer now does. So in this case, she's using a snack button, something motivating to Nushka. And she's pressing snack, and immediately that food is appearing. And then going right back, snack, food is appearing. I love that Kelly is throwing the food a little bit away so that Nushka disengages, but then re-engages and has to come back to the board and see, oh, right, the board, this is a valuable place to be. So lots of repetitions still. Thank you. And Irma just added a link to the food modeling challenge in the chat here. So again, you can get that repetition in, you can get it in pretty rapidly. And in this case, snack can mean, anything food related. I personally like to use eat as the general heading for that. And then you press eat and, wet food appears or kibble or pumpkin. And we started with a general eat, but we now have all these specifics, as you can hear during Katie's requests. So if you start general, you can always get specific. And if you start specific, like with the, I think it was the piggy button, a specific toy button, you can always get more general to toy or play down the line as well. And you can absolutely be practicing the rapid modeling, rapid pairing with a play related button as well, especially a young pup, energetic multi-poo potentially. Press play, play together, play together, tug, fetch, whatever they're up for. Yes, play. Hi, Katie. You're just wanting any attention right now. So since Katie is pressing, this is where, yes, play. You can be verbally modeling, and then you can also be following through with giving them that reward immediately. And in Katie's case, she doesn't have great vision. She has some, but it's not her primary source of kind of sensory input. So I like to bring everything to her, which has the added benefit of, again, making the board a really beneficial place for her to be. And I like how as she's playing, she's continuing to kind of flop on the play button. So she's narrating a bit what she's doing here. And you can use that to your advantage as well. Drag a toy, a tug toy, or a feather wand toy, something like that for a cat. Drag that across the play button, and then you can capture an accidental press that way that you're able to reinforce. Yeah, Katie, play. You're feeling sassy. Play and chew. And then it's up to you if you want to get more specific with your narrations. She doesn't have a chew button, but I'm seeing her chew, so I can add that additional narration so that if we do add a chew button down the line, that's already a concept that we've begun working on. Hi, Katie Cat. And then if they're driving you crazy, laying on the buttons or something like that, which Bernie's like, play, I love play. He just came to join in. You can always use the placement of the reward or the motivator to move them away from the board, just like we can use it to move them back towards the board too. So using the placement of what it is that they're requesting to get them closer or further away. Hi, you two. Yes. Play. Yes. All right, let's dive into our shared presentation here again. All right. All right, so how do we choose our first buttons and words? We want to be setting ourselves up for success again, and ideally having this be something that is easy for us to say yes to, right? And follow through and model multiple times throughout the day. And so starting buttons should be motivating and meaningful to your individual learner. And that may differ, on who you have. Even littermates might be motivated by different things. So if you have multiple learners in your household, it might be worth thinking about what motivates each of them as individuals. And it should be easy and convenient for you to model immediately and concrete or actionable. So something that you can easily follow through on, show them the meaning of. We don't want to start with too abstract or complicated of concepts because the soundboard itself is an abstract tool that they're learning how to use. So if we take this abstract tool with tough abstract concepts, that can slow down the learning process. But something like play or piggy that's really specific, actionable, concrete like that can help them connect the dots. And then as soon as they get it, we can then move on to our more advanced concepts, which we'll talk about on the next slide too. So in our examples of starting buttons, we do want to be thinking about 2 or 3, more than one, to help them understand that different buttons mean different things. So we have, again, play or toy, up to you if you want to be specific or general. Again, I started with the kittens, generally with play, but my border collie started with ball specifically because for her, ball is life. So that's what was most motivating for her. Hi, Bernie. Bernie can play. Outside is on here as a common starting button, but if it's not going to be easy and convenient for you to follow through on, if you live on the 10th floor, if you have a cat that needs supervision outside, if it's not easy for you to say yes to, set yourself up for success. Don't feel pressured to start with outside or anything else for that matter, just because it's a common starting button that's worked for others. Think about your household, your learners, you're the experts on them, right? You know your learner and your household best. And then eat/food, snack, whatever you call it in your household, same thing, up to you if you are more general or specific. And that's where paying attention to the language that you're using can help with narrowing that down as well. And then pets or scritches or love-ins sounds like, if I'm recalling correctly, for Rue. So some kind of physical affection is a popular option too. Brush tends to be a great choice for cats or other animals that enjoy contact in that way. So hopefully that's helpful. Let me know in the chat if there's anything you're debating between, if I can help bring some nuance to the conversation for you all. And if you don't have questions yet, no worries. We have plenty of future opportunities and continuing education to help you all out. All right, and for those of you who might be ready for abstract concepts, or for those of you who just want to have an idea of how this builds, where it all can go, and how it fits together, once they are starting some independent presses, once they really get the concept of the soundboard, and the speed at which they get to those independent presses has no bearing on their long-term success. So if some of you listening today are, you've already been modeling for a few weeks and they're not yet pressing, that's okay. And also totally normal. The speed at which they pick up buttons has no bearing on their long-term success. But get those independent presses first, right? We want to be building this strong foundation. And then once you get those independent presses, especially if you're getting more than you can follow through with, that it's hard to say yes to the amount of presses that you're getting, then it might be worthwhile to add something to add some boundaries or gently put the brakes on a bit. I really do like to focus on having as many different yeses on the board as possible because we don't want to be frustrating them. We don't want to show them that they have this tool, that they have this voice, and then be like, oh, but I can't do any of these things, right? So at least that's where I like having a puzzle button or something, because even if I can't be jumping up from a work call and following through on playing more the way Bernie just requested, or, making a meal, I can say yes to a puzzle toy and give them, a food puzzle that they've got to work through to get what they want out of it. And that buys me a lot more time. They often want to take a nap afterwards. So think about ways to say yes, or concepts that are easier to say yes to, adding those, as well as, thinking about things like more and all done, or yes and no as buttons, now and later. And notice how I'm talking about these in pairs. Whenever possible for abstract concepts, adding them in opposing pairs that can be modeled in contrast or in opposition to one another can help make it a little bit easier for them to understand. And when you think about play, yes. When you think about like, yes, more outside now. You're getting up, you're taking action with the yes, with the more, with the now. So that's easier for them to understand as opposed to, no, outside all done, later. And then nothing happens, right? We can take action with the more as I get a more request for play, as opposed to the all done. So that's why adding them in pairs that you can model in opposition can be helpful. And thinking about other concepts this way too, other advanced concepts and abstract concepts like emotions. You might not be ready to add emotions for a while yet, but you can start narrating them, thinking about a positive emotion button like happy, in contrast to a negative one like mad, sad, frustrated, whatever you call it, whatever comes naturally to you and your household. Names can be modeled in contrast to each other, your name versus their name. So different things like this. And even with time, I like to break it down even further into now, soon, and later. Think about today versus tomorrow, all different things like this. So hopefully that's helpful with thinking about advancing these concepts as well. And again, feel free to ask a question either now or in a little bit when we get to the Q&A portion for chatting through questions. I can talk about buttons all day, so I'm happy to dive into whatever specifics you all need. All right, and then you've been modeling consistently. You've chosen motivating buttons, but maybe your learner is just not yet pressing independently. If it's been more than a few weeks, then adding some target training into the mix can be helpful. And it sounds like some of you all have already started target training, and that's fantastic too. Target training can help them connect the dots, build their confidence and a sense of agency around the buttons, and realize, oh, I can activate these too. It's not just for the human to press and then, us follow through together. They can activate it themselves and have us, follow through accordingly. So it is sometimes depending or developing a bit of eye-paw or eye-nose coordination, depending on how they naturally prefer to press. Let them develop their style. They're all going to be a little bit different, whether they're right pawed, left pawed. Some will use back paws, some sit on the buttons, some will headbutt. Bernie, as you may be able to see in the background, as he presses the play button, he's a flopper. He presses with his shoulder a lot, and he's very accurate. I watched him do a head rub activation today, this morning, for one of the first times too, as opposed to his shoulder. That's great. He's not frustrated. I can understand him. That's fantastic. They don't have to press one way unless it would be helpful for you all. So say, for example, you don't have a lot of floor space, or it's too much of a tripping hazard to have the buttons down on the floor. A wall-mounted board could be the option for you. And in that case, working on either a cheek rub or a nose touch, something like that, tends to then be the better method for activating as opposed to a paw on the wall. That can be tougher for them to be accurate, as opposed to stepping on them on the floor. And so Irma added some links in the chat. Thank you so much. So we've got options that you all can watch for target training if that is something that you do need to work on with your learners. But again, no pressure. Some of them will realize with us pressing and following through, or that rapid modeling, that they can activate the button. So no pressure to do the target training. Hi, Bernie. So I'm going to use the play button since that's what Bernie has been requesting here. More. I'm going to show you, yes, more, as I take the play button away. So he presses more. More, yes. So again, with him, I'm not concerned about the flopping. I think it's great. He's not frustrated. Good boy, yeah. With the first target training video that's linked there, that has that's with Alexis and Bunny, a shortcut from their video. If your learner already knows how to high five, if they already know how to nose touch, shake, paw, you can take the button out of the hex tile, just put it in the palm of your hand, and cue them to give you that high five. It says play, follow through with that play. Or, ask them to give you that nose touch, shake, etc. And you can then follow through immediately. Now, this does take a little bit of practice to then work it back into the hex tile because it's a different picture, right? It looks different. Progress, learning, life is rarely linear, right? Progress, it's going to be up and down. So if they could be doing it great while we hold it, but it's a little bit of a setback once we move it into the hex tile. Totally normal. Just keep modeling, keep practicing, and that's where you can then be trying to cue them, oh, you want to touch that there, play, drag the toy across it, that sort of thing. The other two videos are great for smaller learners. They are, the title says cat specific, but small learners like a Maltese can also benefit from those videos shared if need be. Doesn't sound like, it sounds like y'all are already well on your way, to be clear. But a method from those, they are really working on the weight shift. With our smaller learners and our cat learners in particular, they tend to bat at things as opposed to a nice weight shift press, right? And that totally makes sense with how they interact with the world. Come here, Bernie. Come here. I know we're getting a lot of background presses. Sorry, y'all. You're a good boy. You just want to play, huh? Yeah. So if you see them staring at the button, knowing that if this goes off, something great's about to happen. Okay, yeah, Madison, great to know. So Madison added she doesn't have a lot of weight behind her taps for sure, which tracks with her size and being so young. More of a scratch at the moment. Okay, yeah. So when in doubt, help her out. If you see her staring at it or another learner, nosing it a little bit, batting at the sides, scratching at the top, but they're just not putting enough weight on it, when in doubt, help them out. So go ahead, come over and press that button for them and then follow through. That way they're not getting too frustrated. We're helping them out. And if you can time it so that as they're scratching the top, or time it so that as Brew is scratching the top, you hit play or whatever that button is that she's scratching at, perhaps Piggy or whatever else. If you can time it so that you push that button as she's attempting to put enough weight on it, that can really drive home that they just need to put a little bit more pressure because they'll feel it move underneath of their paw or nose. They'll get that tactile feedback. It'll light up if it's a connect button. It'll vibrate with the speaker in it if it's a speak up button. So, and again, just feeling that movement, that can really drive the point home or the connection home that much faster for them. So I love helping them out, giving them that assist, again, so that they're not frustrated, but also to really have them connect in the moment. Yeah, no, I'm glad. All right. Let me share a couple more resources with you all, and then we'll dive into additional Q&A. All right. So again, those are in the chat, and I'll show you where you can find these within our FluentPet community here. So community.fluent.pet, which those of you who are watching this within the community, you already know. But for those of you who are watching this perhaps elsewhere, there is such a wealth of information within the community, like over 4.5 years worth of people's experiences, what we've compiled so far, the research. So there's the welcome area here with Start Button Teaching. If you're the type of person that wants really in-depth, step-by-step reading, this is for you. If that's not your style, no worries. We've got other options. Check out as well announcements, community events, keep track there. But the Button Teaching FAQs, there's 41 in-depth questions there as well. So again, if you're the type that wants to dive in there. Underneath the Button Bootcamp section, this is just for folks like you who have attended Bootcamp. So the first tab, events, this is upcoming bootcamps. So if it would be advantageous for you to attend again, would love to have you back. If it would be helpful to have a family member attend who wasn't able to today, same thing, would love to have them. You can switch upcoming to past as well, and then you can find recordings. And today's will be up as soon as we finish today. Under events, mentorship calls. I'm really excited that these are back. Our next mentorship call is tomorrow. So if you just can't get enough of talking about buttons, there's an event tomorrow for you as well. But these are, as of now, free ongoing conversations with specific topics, sometimes general Q&A as well. We've got a bunch of different ones coming up throughout the month. Myself, as well as other guides, are teaching these, people who have had success with their learners, and just really fun, in-depth info. And it's up to you. You can listen in or you can participate, whatever you're comfortable with. Now, under resources, this is tons, again, of great in-depth info for you all. So we've got a self-study learning center linked here. We've got those pod targeting tutorials that were linked in the chat as well. We've got a link to a soundboard planning tool. If you're the type of person who wants to plan ahead, have an idea of where your board is going, check that out. That was created by one of our Let's Get Them Pressing instructors. So really great tool. Got in-depth explanations and all through here with other bootcamp instructors and guides. Under discussion, this is where you can ask in-depth questions, chat if you have a quick update or anything like that. Would love to hear from you. And then one last thing I want to show you is show off your soundboard under discussion. And again, you can do a deep dive as much as you want through here. But for show off your soundboard, here you can see the soundboard planning tool in action from a few folks. But you can get inspired. There's as many soundboards as there are households, sometimes more than one soundboard per household, depending on if you have ones on separate floors, ones for different learners. Totally up to you. There's so many different options. So here's a cool wall-mounted option that has a slight angle to be more ergonomic for the learner, which is so thoughtful. Other wall-mounted boards, here's a really big cat board. She's a senior cat with cancer. So hers is built with comfort in mind. She's got her nice comfy walkway through the middle, and she likes to nap near her buttons or on her board. So she's got all these great nap zones so she can basically wake up, stretch, and press what she's interested in. So let your learner be the guide. Watch them, how they use the board, what interests them, and kind of build out accordingly. And again, you've got your wall-mounted options. If you don't necessarily want a wall mount or your learner is less interested in pressing in ways that would accommodate a wall mounted board, but you don't want one in the center of your house either, totally understood. I love that Sasha's board here is a really space-saving design tucked into the corner, but there's still enough room for her learners to get behind the board and watch while pressing. So many of our learners like to watch us while they're pressing. They want to know that we've heard them, that we've understood, that we're responding. So it can be a challenge for some of them to go out of sight or, stare into a corner and press without the ability to kind of be keeping an eye on us. So that's why at first we do recommend as an option, just picking up the board, bringing it with you if you've got, a really partitioned off living space. It's going to depend on you, your learner, your household, what's going to be best there, but you can absolutely get creative. This is all still very new too. So these are best practices that we've developed so far, but that doesn't mean that they're the only practices. And I'm excited to hear how things are going forward with you all as well. Calvin added, we have a comment on Insta that made me chuckle. Cats can be so silly with this. My senior cat was a small cat and would only press with a head bump to the button. They're such unique individuals. And Calvin added, my learner Jason still likes to butt dial, sploot and roll on the buttons, but somehow with remarkable accuracy. They're, so creative. And again, as long as they're not frustrated. All right, let me get my screen reshared. Apologies, y'all. It is not cooperating as quickly as usual here. There we go. All right, so in addition to all of the free resources that I just shared with you all, we have the Let's Get Them Pressing course. This is a cohort-based class that's taught by Alexis with Bunny and Diane of NeuroDog Training. Really, really great live coaching in addition to asynchronous materials. And we are also working on a cat-specific course. So the Let's Get Them Pressing all learners course, the next one starts, I believe, April 18th. So there is still space if interested. And we also have a 25% off coupon code for you that will go ahead and get added to the chat as well. Oh, thank you, Irma. It's already there. And that does not expire. So you can always hold on to that if you want to see how things go. And again, there are lots of free options as well, but some folks want that live coaching, that more one-on-one experience. So that's a fantastic way to get that. And then if you are realizing that you need to expand your soundboard, we also have a 15% off coupon code for you all that's good for everything at fluent.pet, including the Connect systems that rarely go on sale. So that is in the chat. Thank you, Irma. And then always looking to improve. If you have any feedback for us, would love to hear it. We can put that link in the chat as well. All right, y'all. Thank you, Irma. That's everything that I have for you all. So I want to open up the floor and see how can I help further. Are there any additional specific questions that you all have? Feel free to raise your hand. If it's easier to type, you can always do that as well. And if you don't have anything yet, also no worries. Or if you think of something at midnight tonight, you've got the forum and we've got the ongoing mentorship calls, and you can always attend another boot camp too. I thought I saw typing. Again, either in the chat or the Q&A portion, whatever is easy for you. Oh, hold on. I just noticed Sunday and Lady. I scrolled back up and found I'm a little late, so no worries at all. Thrilled to have you. My learner is already pressing and combining buttons. Awesome. But I'm stuck on getting her to press buttons when prompted. Okay. As she sometimes pushes something that needs more clarity. Any advice, like now being pressed alone? I've modeled the button before, adding it more recently, so she now has access to it. Excellent question, and apologies that I missed that when I was going through the presentation earlier. So I will tell you, to this day, it's a bit hit or miss as to whether or not my border collie, who has been at the board for 4.5 years, will actually answer via buttons. Often she answers via body language, which is of course acceptable, but sometimes she's just frustrated with me because I either misunderstood her initial press, or I'm not reading her mind, or she's just excited or in a mood or whatever else. So it's not necessarily exactly the same thing, but some of them really do struggle with the follow-up questions, and that is a pretty advanced skill for them, or getting them to clarify at the board. So that's where I like to come over to the board, ask them, with whatever your prompt is, whether it's, can you use your words? Can you tell me more? Show me more. I think mine is tell me more. And sometimes, again, I'm answered via body language. Sometimes I might get a board press. More often, what I get from my border collie is a board flail. And that's her telling me that she's just not in a think and learn zone to be answering via the board, because that is a lot of high level processing for them to be taking in a question and then answering it. That's just a different way of using the board than them thinking already about what it is that they want and having a plan and going over to the board, right? They're able to, again, we don't have the exact research yet on all of this, but them being able to plan ahead, process. You'll notice a particular stride sometimes as they're heading over to the buttons, or the moment I pull up a video of them at the approaching the board, I can usually tell what button they're going to based on, body language, all that fun stuff. So uh, using as much info as you can like that, and then filling in the gaps. If you ask, you don't get a response, or you get a flail response, that's where I might go over the board and just press, was it outside? And then wait and see what kind of response, body language I get. And body language, that's more than enough, right? If they're whining at the back door, that's a full sentence. They want to go outside. They've already communicated that. But I totally get that something like a now, that's, and Calvin and Irma have heard this many times now on the boot camps, but lately for my kittens, it's been the neighbor button. They press the neighbor button and I'm like, I don't know how to respond to that. Are they hearing something outside? Maybe, but we have a here button. We have an outside button. They're not using that. Do they want a person who's not here? But we have a friend button for that. Sometimes, and this is where the abstract concepts can sometimes open up a lot more questions than answers. So balancing it out with other concrete things on the board that are easy to press and follow through on. You pressing in the moment, like if she's not responding via the board, and then also just listening to whatever body language, maybe pressing, and you modeling, narrating with the press based on what you're getting via body language. But if they lead you away from the board, just following and following through, because we're still, of course, honoring that body language. Let's see. So that's pretty reassuring. I've been trying to sit by the buttons. Okay, great. And see if she'll press, but I see more body language if I ask questions and wasn't sure if I was doing something I could improve on. She's very intelligent and thinking dog, but she'd rather I just read her mind sometimes. I do understand that. And something to maybe pay attention to at the board as well. And this is all just spitballing because I am not seeing you all in action right now. But I've found for Adora, my border collie as well, that she's very, very sensitive, which makes sense with who she is and her breeds, but she's very sensitive to my presence, my body language, and even just me sitting near the board or just near her in general, right? Like she feels like everything is me hovering and being really intense like that, even though I might be a few feet away. To her, in her mind, I'm crowding the board. I might be kind of showing ownership. So even if you go in and ask and model for Sunday, then maybe backing up a little bit, giving a little bit of space. If she follows, no problem. But just seeing if you can find a happy medium between being near the board, prompting use, but not crowding them out depending on the location. And thinking about as well, again, can they watch you while pressing? Do they have enough room to maneuver fully around the board? Those sorts of things. And some of this is just what's being prompted as general thoughts for everyone, not necessarily like, yeah, what what is absolutely relevant just to Sunday. Yeah, for her, she wants me to be over and included with her. Okay, great to know. And I love that you know that about her as well. Thank you. That's great. Any additional questions or follow-ups? Did anybody want to raise their hand and chat through anything while we're together? I'll hang another minute in case somebody does think of something or is being shy, but I just wanted to thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, Irma. Thank you, Calvin, for all of your assistance today and always with Bootcamp, making sure that everybody is here and situated. Please don't be strangers, y'all. We are here to help. We all love talking about buttons here at FluentPet. Would love to have you at a future Bootcamp, especially at future mentorship calls, or even the Let's Get Them Pressing course. Yeah, I'll be on the lookout for you all. I always say good luck, but you don't need luck. You know your learner in your household best. You've got this. You've got us to help. Hope everybody has a great rest of your day and great weekend. Thank you so much again for being here. Bye, y'all.